The case of the angelic-faced sadist Jordan Worth. Not only is it difficult to maintain statistics on victims of domestic abuse, but it is also nearly impossible because many people choose not to ask for assistance out of a desire to appear foolish. Sometimes years can pass while a person is abused, beaten, and humiliated, and certain details come to light only after the damage is done. In other words, a lot of these numbers are based on dead people. In 2018, the case of Jordan Worth, a young English woman, garnered national headlines and was noteworthy in a number of respects, if not unique. First, the myth that men are inherently violent, dictatorial, and abusive in relationships was disproved by this frail individual with an angelic look. She became the first woman in British history to receive a real prison sentence for domestic abuse and coercive control because, up until that point, only men had been imprisoned on similar accusations. This is because they are trivially stronger physically. Thankfully, this story did not end in disaster, but it is still puzzling that a young mother of 2 children nearly killed her heir's father through torture. This is the terrible story of Alex Skeel. Come and join us as we unravel this horrific crime. For most people, their first love usually occurs when they are still in school or in college. Alex Skeel, a 28-year-old guy from Stewartby in Bedfordshire, England, experienced this same fate. But when it was revealed that he had been subjected to horrifying abuse by Jordan Worth, the woman who claimed to love him, many were shocked and in disbelief. It would take a near-death experience for her heinous misdeeds to finally come to light. Alex Skeel's life did not start off smoothly. Along with Luke, his twin brother, were both born on August 17, 1995, 2 weeks early. Weighing just 2 pounds, he had to spend some time in intensive care and had multiple surgeries when he was still a baby. After making a full recovery, he and his brother were hired as kid models by the well-known grocery chain Asda, which was a really nice way to cap off an otherwise turbulent event. Growing up, Alex became deeply in love with football, or soccer as it is known in the United States, and he would play it with his buddies most weekends. Alex was 16 years old in June 2012 and a student at Bedford College in Bedford, England. He would meet fellow student Jordan Worth, who was majoring in fine arts at this location. That June 3rd, Alex made the decision to go to the college where one of his friends was doing a play in order to encourage him. Jordan came because one of her friends was performing in the play, and she and Alex quickly struck up a conversation. Although Alex had never been particularly interested in women, he sensed a connection with Jordan and soon found himself falling deeply in love. Jordan's involvement in him surprised and excited him, and at the time he characterized her as self-assured, compassionate, and loving. They all got along when he presented her to his friends. However, Jordan stood out from the others in the group as being quiet and reserved. In any case, they welcomed Jordan for her true self, and before long she belonged to the group just as much as the others. Later on, when Alex had welcomed Jordan into his family, he began to notice a few oddities in her conduct. Jordan would make remarks about his attire, occasionally mentioning that she didn't like the color, that it didn't fit him, and that she believed he should be wearing something different. In addition, she would comment on other things, such as his hairdo, proposing that he wear it in a way that she liked. At first, he didn't think much of it, but he adjusted a few of her suggestions because he wanted to impress her. All relationships include compromises, after all. However, it must be acknowledged that there were some really odd issues to compromise on, and frequently, there was no compromise at all. Jordan seemed to be asking for these things and providing nothing in return. When Alex and Jordan were alone, he felt that things were different, and even though he had also noticed some weird conduct on Jordan's side, he was certain that there was nothing to worry about. Alex's parents also began to notice that Jordan was playing mind games, and they attempted to warn him. And so we arrive at August 17, 2013. In honor of Alex and Luke's 18th birthdays, their mother hired a caterer and extended an invitation to all of their friends to join them in celebrating. However, Jordan said she would not be attending the party, end of story, as soon as she learned that a certain family friend's daughter would be there. But in the end, Alex was able to persuade her to reconsider. But later that evening, Jordan and the girl, who was only 15 at the time, got into a fight during which Jordan used some really foul language against her. In general, Jordan was not happy that Alex was hanging around with other people. All she wanted was him, and nothing else would suffice. Despite Alex's friends' best efforts to warn him, he was unable to recognize Jordan for what he was, trouble. He thought it was all for the best, so he let her shenanigans continue because he loved her so much. Following their disagreement at the party, Jordan lost her cool and broke the SIM card in Alex's phone in two, making it impossible for him to talk to anyone. The couple then began fighting much more regularly. To the relief of everyone around him, he abruptly understood that his family and friends were correct, and he made the decision to break up. Things appear to have started to calm down for Alex after this. Gradually, everything returned to normal in his life. However, Jordan had different plans. Sadly, Alex and Jordan's split wouldn't last long, as is the case in many abusive relationships. Jordan broke the surprising news that she was expecting Alex's child at the family's home a few days after the separation. He informed Jordan that they couldn't be in a relationship because he couldn't stand her controlling ways and mind games, even though he pledged to provide financial support for her and their child. They hardly communicated over the next 12 months, but for Alex, it was the best possible time. On May 19, 2014, Jordan gave birth to a healthy child without any prior notice. Jordan brought the youngster over to the family's house so that everyone could meet him. Despite Alex's disapproval of Jordan's entrance into the home, his family believed that she had changed after becoming a mother, since she had stopped exhibiting the odd behavior they had seen in the past. However, Alex thought that the wounds were still too fresh and that he should be involved in this. Rather than have Jordan accompany him, he chose to have his close-knit granddad accompany him when he met his son for the first time. However, as you probably anticipated, Alex and Jordan soon resumed their time together as they took care of their son, and they made the decision to reconcile the following year. Everything seemed different this time. According to Alex, their relationship was at its best point ever, and Jordan appeared to have truly turned a new leaf. But shortly after, Jordan's family noticed additional concerning conduct, and Alex became irate once more when she questioned her about it. Alex was then informed by her that he had to decide between his family and her. Alex made the decision to move in with Jordan since he didn't want to be apart from his son. For the following 2 years, his family wouldn't see him again. The couple had relocated to Jordan's parents' home, but Jordan's domineering ways only got worse. Even though Alex wasn't that kind of person and never expressed interest in other people, she had him change his phone number and often accused him of cheating on her with other women. Additionally, she misrepresented to him that her mother had been notified by his family of his grandfather's passing. However, she later acknowledged that she had lied after observing how distraught he was. Who knows why she did this? Well, nobody knows. In spite of everything, the couple moved to Stewartby in 2016 after deciding to establish their own place. For a while, everything appeared to be going well. Jordan and Alex got along well, their son was doing well, and they were enjoying their new home. They made the decision to have another child because their connection appeared to be stronger than ever, and soon Jordan found herself pregnant once more. Even though everything was going well at the time, their house of cards was about to collapse, and Alex had no idea how terrifying and chaotic his life would become. Jordan was a college student at the time. She was in courses almost every day, but as the days went by, she started to worry that Alex might have been skulking around when she was away from home. It turned out that she was correct. However, Alex was slipping out to see his family rather than prowling around with other women. Jordan was furious when she learned about this. In order to keep a watch on him at all times, she made Alex attend all of her lessons from this point on. Alex reluctantly consented, unable to bear the idea of upending his already delicate family's foundation. Soon after, Jordan created a fictitious Facebook account in Alex's name. She then sent private messages to his friends in the months that followed, saying he didn't want to interact with them and hadn't truly thought of them as friends. Fortunately, they realized immediately and responded that they knew it was Jordan who was messaging them. As a result, they were removed from the phony profile. Additionally, she sent a fake message to his family posing as Alex, informing them that he preferred to be left alone and that he didn't want to communicate with them. Once more, it appears that the family was aware that Jordan, not Alex, was the sender of these texts. Alex's family decided to step in at this point since they had had enough. They were aware that the pair had moved to Stewartby, but even though they managed to locate Alex at his new address, they were met with resistance when they knocked. They had no choice but to depart because they believed Alex didn't want to see them. Jordan's behavior had gotten worse in the interim, and she had once had Alex consume the full packet of sleeping pills, which caused him to lose his memory for the remainder of the evening. He was completely unaware of what had happened when he finally awoke. That evening is still a bit of a blur to this day. A few days later, Jordan took her hairbrush and began beating Alex with it as they were driving. As a result, one of Alex's teeth broke off. Jordan did this without warning. Although she would subsequently acknowledge the attack, she insisted that she had never before abused him or prevented him from getting in touch with his relatives. That was essentially where the investigation into this tragedy stopped. But from here on out, things might only become much, much worse. On the nights that Alex had gone to sleep before Jordan, strikes to the head would frequently wake him up and leave him with scars. Unaware of what had happened during one of these attacks, Alex was shocked to learn that Jordan had attacked him with a hammer. Jordan would eventually confess to using a hammer to attack him when questioned by the police, but she strangely claimed that she never intended to cause him any harm. However, upon additional investigation, the authorities discovered that she had gone a step farther on a few occasions, brandishing a knife. Her reaction to this charge was even more perplexing. She admitted that she had attacked him with a knife, but she never poked him with it. She never just sliced him, she said, as though that would somehow make things better. It appears that the two acts were very distinct in her view, but in truth, Alex's life was always in jeopardy, no matter how events transpired in particular. Because Jordan occasionally denied him food, Alex had begun to dramatically lose weight by this point. This is typically the case when she didn't feel like cooking dinner because she wasn't hungry. It appears that she also stopped Alex from making dinner. She also began making Alex sleep on the floor and forbidding him from using their bed. Later on, she would lie blatantly and claim that Alex couldn't fit in their bed since she was sharing it with their infant. By now, Alex was aware that he was in trouble. He was physically declining without a doubt, but his judgment had become so impaired that he was at a loss for what to do. In a state of desperation, he reached out to his father in February 2017, after realizing he had no choice but to ask for assistance from his family. However, Alex requested him to leave when he got to the couple's residence, and all the lights were abruptly turned down, to which he refused. Instead, believing Jordan was preventing him from going outdoors, his father called the police. He was unaware of his own accuracy. It appears that Jordan had forbidden Alex from leaving the house at any time without her consent or company for weeks or months prior to this. He had to be in her direct line of sight at all times, without fail. Officers met with the couple when they arrived, informing Alex's father that the couple had only argued and that the matter had been settled. Though they acknowledged that Alex was observed limping, they said there wasn't much they could do save make sure the altercation was done. Alex's father was disappointed with the result and was forced to walk away empty-handed. Alex seemed to be desperate to end the relationship at this time, but Jordan's domineering actions had gotten so bad that he didn't know how to handle it or wake up from the nightmare he was living. Now he found himself a prisoner in his own house. Without Jordan's permission, he was unable to go, sleep, and felt as though he was breathing heavily. Unbelievably, though, the worst was still to come. Later on, Alex would remember that he and Jordan went to see a band play in Leeds one evening, and he had a great time. Not only was it his favorite band, but he was also having a great time and felt relieved that, if only for that one night, he wouldn't have to worry about being abused. However, his relief was short-lived. He was horrified to discover when he awoke the next morning in their hotel room that Jordan had been pouring boiling water down his back for no apparent reason. Later on, he would say that he had begun to scream in agony and was baffled by her actions. Jordan said that this was inaccurate when authorities questioned her about it later, precisely saying, "Never in Leeds, never." She had never poured boiling water on Alex while they were in Leeds. Jordan had previously bought a cheap lie detector, which she had instructed Alex to fasten to his hand. She interrogated him on a variety of topics while keeping a kettle of boiling water ready in case the machine detected that he was telling the truth. The situation was further exacerbated when Jordan announced shortly after that she was pregnant once more. Although most of us would shudder at the mere mention of it, Alex thought that having a child together would alter Jordan's behavior, but naturally this wasn't the case. After their second kid, a girl, was born in May 2017, Alex noticed a short-lived behavioral shift in her, but it didn't persist long. After the couple began fighting once more, their neighbors decided to contact the police one night because they could stand it no more. The caller would inform the 911 dispatcher that he had heard a man beg someone to stop hurting him and to get off of him. Therefore, he was positive that someone was being abused. Officers had to knock and shout multiple times before Jordan opened the door when they got to the scene. The first officer to arrive on the scene said that she appeared unperturbed and claimed coolly that there had been an incident where Alex had harmed himself. She also said that he had a history of self-harm, which was obviously false. However, when the officer questioned Alex about it, he said that it was, perhaps because he was afraid of getting attacked if he disagreed with her. Subsequently, it was revealed that Jordan had been abusing Alex with a bread knife. Alex attempted self-defense by shielding his hand from the wound, but in the process, he hurt his hand severely. After the police left, Alex went to a nearby hospital where he was stitched up. Since there was no evidence of a crime being committed, the police officers accepted the couple's statement that the injury was self-inflicted and were unable to take any further action. Because of the severity of his injury, Alex needed surgery. But before the procedure could take place, Jordan showed up and declared that Alex should go home. When the hospital personnel realized what was happening, they moved quickly to persuade him to stay, if only long enough to complete the required treatment. After that, Alex saw a consultant who questioned whether he was certain he wanted to go since he thought it would be dangerous. Alex gave the consultant his word that everything would be okay, and after that he left the hospital and went home with Jordan. He would later acknowledge that, at that very moment, he realized he had the opportunity to tell Jordan all that had happened to him, but he was afraid of the consequences the next time he was by himself with Jordan. A few days later, the same policeman who had previously responded to a domestic disturbance report went back to the residence.
Hello. How you doing, mate? Remember me? What's been going on today, mate? Have you been assaulted or anything like that today?
No assault, nothing. It's just an argument. We're just so stressed out.
Are you 100% sure, Alex?
Yes, I'm 100% sure.
I know you've said...
This time, he sat Alex down and inquired about whether he was being assaulted while telling Jordan to wait downstairs. However, Alex said that Jordan and he had just been fighting because they were both really stressed out. It's evident from the body cam film that the officer doesn't think Alex is telling the truth, and he chooses to remove Alex from the house. As they were in a secure setting where they couldn't be overheard, he asked Alex to finally disclose the truth as he took him to his police car. For a short while, Alex refused to change his story, but in the end he gave in and said that he had been abused by Jordan for years. However, he begged investigators to only consider reports from neighbors, because he didn't want Jordan to know that he had been the one to accuse her of the crime. When the officers arrived back at the residence, they told Jordan that she was being arrested for assault and would be brought to the police station to be questioned, where she would have the opportunity to provide her version of events. According to the officer's later report, Jordan believed incorrectly that she would only be permitted to leave the house once everything had been cleared up, and that she would be gone for around an hour. After that, Alex was brought back to the hospital, where it became clear how horrifying his injuries really were. Fluid had accumulated on his brain as a result of the head trauma he had suffered, and medical professionals warned him that he would have died in roughly 10 days if he hadn't received treatment at the time. Alex claimed in a later interview with investigators that he never struck Jordan in self-defense because he didn't want to harm her. He went on to say that he never reported the abuse because he thought it would end eventually and the relationship would work out. Following her police interrogation and admission of her abuse of Alex, Jordan faced 17 charges of grievous bodily harm and controlling or coercive behavior. After entering a guilty plea to 3 of the charges, she was found guilty in April 2018 and given 2 concurrent 7-year sentences. She was also found guilty of controlling or coercive behavior and given a 6-month sentence. She is the first woman to be found guilty of that crime in the United Kingdom. Alex went back in with his family after being discharged from the hospital. They were overjoyed to have him back and safe. However, Jordan would only serve 5 years of her sentence before being freed in 2023 because it was determined that she posed no threat to the community. She will never be permitted to get in touch with Alex again. He has subsequently moved on to become a soccer coach and an ambassador for the Mankind Initiative, a nonprofit that fights domestic abuse and also sponsors his football club. In an effort to encourage future victims to use any chance to escape a terrible circumstance like the one he endured, Alex has promised to utilize all of his resources to positively publicize the news of Jordan's abuse. Additionally, he has begun giving seminars at which he alerts people to the warning signals of domestic abuse. He has since said that he is developing coping mechanisms for the pain and memories of the assault against him. These days, his focus is on the life that lies ahead of him and building a bright future for his kids. Regarding Jordan, little is known about what transpired after her release. However, given that she is now forbidden from communicating with Alex in the future, I believe I can speak for everyone when I say that it doesn't really matter what happened to her. Let this be a lesson to all of us. You are worth a lot more than you usually give yourself credit for. Stories like this don't always have happy endings. We are all too smart to be mistreated, patronized, or physically attacked. It's never too early to leave a difficult environment, but it can always be too late.
Hey, thanks for sticking with us today. Check out this other thrilling videos for you to watch, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe and like button, and let us know down below your thoughts on today's case. Until then, take care.